Hi everyone, my name is Veronica. I'm the crochet blogger and designer behind Blue Star Crochet. I would like to talk to you in this video about my best blocking tips and tricks. So what actually blocking is? Blocking, it's that one technique that no crafter wants to do. Trust me, I've seen posts of so many makers and crafters that actually say they don't like blocking, they don't do it, but let me give you my very first tip. Blocking is essential if you want your project to look finished, professional, and if you want all the other crafters to look at your project and think, wow. So what blocking actually is? Blocking is manipulating your finished crochet project into a shape you want it to be. This is not to say that if you crochet a circle, you can block it into a rectangle shape. This is to basically make your crochet project look really finished and really professional by manipulating it into the shape, into its best shape it's supposed to be. So this applies basically for anything you crochet, anything you do, you can block it to make the shape more uniform, more neat and more pretty. Even down to a very simple granny square. If you block your granny squares, they are going to look amazing. If you just pin them out in the corners, they're gonna look so much more professional than those very first wonky granny squares that every crocheter starts with. So blocking uses moisture to manipulate your crochet project into the shape. How you're gonna make your project stay in a particular shape is with pins or blocking wires. I'll get to tools later in this video of the best tools that you can use for the job. I have one of my quick makes here with me just to show you how blocking can help to elevate your project. These are my crochet coasters that I have made, and as you can see they both have been blocked, pinned out on a blocking mat, wet and left to dry in the shape you basically want them to be. This is what I meant by manipulating your crochet project into the shape you want it to be. As you can see, even these little points, when you first finish the project, they obviously aren't going to stand up like this. But if you block your project, if you pin it out to the shape you want it to be, they will look really neat and professional. So I basically pinned every single little point to make it sit nicely like this in a shape. To block your finished pieces effectively, you will need 3 basic items. First is a blocking mat, second are pins, and third is water. It's just that simple. So these are blocking mats. These are actually fit for the purpose blocking mats. You could actually replace these with plain mats for kids to play on, or you've got you can buy these foam mats to put in your garden, but these are actually purpose made blocking mats for blocking your crochet pieces. The reason these are better is of their depth. As you can see, they are quite deep because essentially you're going to be stretching fabric, and sometimes the fabric doesn't want to stretch, it wants to spring back. So you need something quite deep to bury your pins in to hold your crochet piece in place. That brings me on to the second item that is really essential, and those are pins. I have got a whole box of these pins, and if I show you a close-up, these are blocking pins. As you can see, they are quite tall, and they've got these, they're T-shaped pins because they got this T on the end, which means that even if the fabric you're trying to block kind of moves a little bit, it's very unlikely that it will get over this T-shaped pin at the top. The reason they are slightly longer, they actually came with these mats I bought. As you can see, these mats are quite deep, and because the pins are quite tall, you can actually push them into the mat quite deep, which will essentially help with stretching your work and manipulating it into the shape you want it to be. The third item you need to block something is water. It's as simple as that. Where it gets a little bit tricky is how you apply the water to your finished crochet piece, because we know that crochet hates washing machines. Don't put it in a washing machine. Mostly you can submerge it in a sink full of water, but then we come on to another problem that comes with submerging your crochet work in water is how to get the most of the water back out of your crochet piece, because you obviously don't want to block it when it's dripping wet, because it's going to take days before it dries. So what people actually do to get most of the moisture back out of the crochet item that you are going to block is lay it flat on a couple of towels, roll it up, and then apply pressure to the towel roll. So you can do this by standing on it, literally stamping on the roll to get the biggest moisture out of your crochet piece before you pin it out and block it. So this is probably more suitable for larger items if you block in jumpers, cardigans, or any tops you need to block, or even blankets. If you block blankets, this is the perfect technique on how to get moisture into larger pieces. To simply submerge them in water, then lay them flat on a towel, roll it up, and then apply pressure onto the towel to get the moisture out of your crochet piece. This is probably not the technique you would apply for something smaller like these crochet coasters. So how can you apply moisture to smaller items? This is where my handy little trick comes in, because I have got this. It's a old bottle from a body mist spray that I have saved, and you can just simply open it. And I have filled it with just plain water with a drop of fabric softener. This is going to make your crochet pieces a bit softer if you need them to be, and it's also going to make them smell really, really nice. So this spray just lets off a tiny little mist, which you can spray onto your pieces when they're blocked out onto the board. I will show you how to do that in just a second. Here I'm going to quickly show you how to block this granny square I made earlier. As you can see, the edges are not very straight, they all gone a little bit wonky. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to fix this granny square into a perfect square shape, so it's all nice and uniform, which will essentially make it easier if you want to join the granny squares together. So at this point my granny square is still dry. I haven't applied any moisture because I like to block the items. I like to pin them out when they're still dry and then apply the moisture once they're pinned into the shape I want them to be. By all means, you can make the granny square wet at this point and pin it out, but this is just how I do it and I find it so much easier. So as you can see on this blocking mat, I have got these straight lines which are going to help us greatly in pinning out our granny squares into the shape. So I'm going to just follow the top line up here, and as you can see, I'm going to pin the corners first. So I'm going to manipulate it into the shape and stretch it out. You can already see how much bigger the granny square is going to be now that I'm going to block it as well. So here we are. So that's the basic shape, but as you can see, we can actually even go to this line here to make it just slightly easier for ourselves. So you can see the corners have actually reached this line here, and the top corners have reached that line there. But as you can see, these edges just need a little bit of help to get onto the line. So what you can actually do is use pins and pin out the edge, all the way across, and this way your edge will be perfectly straight. See this? So this is what you want to achieve for all the edges right around your granny square, and you can already see how much better this granny square is looking already. So I'm just going to do these couple of edges to show you. Here we go. So you can already see how much better the top and the bottom edge on the granny square looks. So if I wanted to carry on, you can pin out these two sides as well, but just for the purpose of the video we're going to move on, and I'm going to apply the moisture to block out this granny square. So I'm going to simply just go ahead and spray this granny square generously with this spray. Okay, so as you can, I don't know whether the camera's gonna catch, you can see all the moisture. So what I'm gonna do is just gently press onto the granny square just to help the moisture kind of soak into the fabric there. Okay, so here we go. This is how I block small pieces. I kind of pin them out dry, and then I apply the moisture with just a simple spray. You can actually use any bottle from any cleaning product, you know, those kind of bigger bottles with the trigger spray. You can even use those, but just be sure to thoroughly wash it before you use it on any of your crochet items, of any residue chemicals that might have been there before. Anything like antibacterial spray or any air fresheners, you know, in those trigger spray bottles, they'll be completely fine. So yeah, this is how I block my pieces, and I hope you enjoyed this quick tutorial, and hope to see you next time.